problema. Então, welcome to GAMELabsNet Talk 2. It's a really pleasure to have you all here. This is focusing on healthcare related with what we call immersive technologies. That is usually virtual reality, augmented reality, extended reality, a lot of realities that are not real, and video games. So just to make context of the GAMELabsNet project, this is a network of 7 labs, 1 in Portugal, 3 in Spain, and 3 in France, demonstrating video game technologies and extended reality among these 3 countries. The main goal is to be a bridge between the multimedia technology companies and several other sectors. In Portugal, the lab is focused in 3 areas: industry, healthcare, and tourism that needs to be boosted by these creative technologies. Our lab is being installed at the Politécnico de Leiria, and we hope that will be physically open in the next month to be at your service. We have to thank the support of VR/AR Association from Portugal for the work in this industry, and also for the support in our events on identifying strong solutions in these fields. So today, giving support to healthcare, we have in our panel really interesting projects that we embrace and that makes all the team very proud to disclose it. So as speakers, we have Cátia Pontes from CiTechCare from Politécnico de Leiria. She will talk about Veggies for My Heart, a game that is helping preschool children eating more vegetables. We will have Amir Bozorgzadeh from Virtuleap that will talk about gamifying the neurosciences with VR. Amir, I'm not sure if you are already there. I don't think so at the moment. Filipa Pona from CNS, Centro Neurológico, Sénior. That will talk about the virtual reality gaming as a neurorehabilitation tool for Parkinson disease. Vasco Torres from InciteVR, talking about VR training for clinical lab skills. Pedro Gouveia from Fundação Champalimaud presenting Breast 4.0. He's not here yet. Oh, he's here already. He's here already. Hello, Pedro. He will join us as soon as possible because he's traveling. So after all the presentations, we will have space to questions, answers, and comments between speakers and audience. They can be in English or Portuguese, okay? So as you wish. We will start with Cátia Pontes. Sorry, just going a little bit back. Amir Bozorgzadeh, I think he doesn't speak Portuguese, okay? So it has to be questions or comments in English. So we will start with Cátia Pontes. Hello, Cátia. A nutritionist with a very consistent path in areas of nutrition and food sciences. She created Alimentarte company after her graduation. She has been a lecturer at the School of Health of the Politécnico de Leiria and is currently an integrated member of CiTechCare, Innovation Center in Technologies and Healthcare. She recently completed her PhD in food consumption and nutrition sciences at the University of Porto, developing her thesis on food education tools to promote the consumption of vegetables in preschool age. This academic path resulted in the Veggies for My Heart project, which began in 2018 after winning the Challenges Accelerator in Cardiology Award. This is a project that we know very well, Cátia. It has a lot of hours from our work also, because it is a result of 2 centers, of investigation centers, the one that Cátia is making part, CiTechCare, and CIIC, it's another one that this project makes part. It's computer science and sound research, both from Politécnico de Leiria. So Cátia will present Veggies for My Heart, a game that is helping preschool children eating more vegetables. Cátia, please.
Obrigada, Eduarda. Então vou compartilhar a tela. Ainda não tenho permissão, Eduarda. Consegues agora fazer essa alteração, por favor?
Ok, eu penso que já está.
Ok. Penso que já conseguem ver.
Sim.
Sim? Ok, muito obrigada, Eduarda, por esta apresentação. Muito bom dia a todos. Queria primeiro agradecer ao GameLab por me convidar para estar a dar a conhecer este projeto que tem nos dado tanto prazer a realizar e que tem sido um desafio enorme ao longo destes anos, que começámos em 2018 e que temos vindo a continuar a desenvolver. Portanto, aquilo que eu vos vou apresentar é o projeto Veggies for My Heart, que é um jogo digital que tem realmente ajudado as crianças a consumir mais hortícolas. Queria começar por dar uma introdução, uma breve contextualização da utilização dos jogos na promoção da saúde. Cada vez mais são utilizados tanto as técnicas de gamificação como os jogos em si para a promoção da saúde, porque realmente mudar comportamentos, e quando falamos de mudar comportamentos alimentares, são sempre processos muito difíceis e por isso a utilização dos jogos tem grande potencial, por isso mesmo, porque junta a motivação e torna mais fácil a modificação de comportamentos. E especialmente quando falamos de grupos mais difíceis de motivar, como é muitas vezes o caso das crianças, quando queremos incentivar a mudança de comportamentos. E quando falamos em promoção da saúde e a utilização dos jogos ou da gamificação, este artigo mostra-nos algumas possibilidades de utilização dos jogos para a promoção da saúde, seja nos programas terapêuticos, no sistema de mensagens motivacionais, na recolha de dados e na utilização de feedback, nos exergames, que é aqueles conhecidos como os Nintendo Wii, sendo um exemplo, passando a publicidade. Depois a multimédia interativa e outros jogos diversos, como por exemplo os serious games, que são os jogos sérios, que o principal objetivo, para além do propósito de entreter, o principal objetivo é educar. E neste sentido, pareceu-nos que é cada vez mais importante nós apostarmos nos jogos e na gamificação para conseguir promover também a educação alimentar. Porque focando-nos na educação alimentar, aquilo que encontramos em vários artigos científicos, perdão, é que este artigo de 2016 mostra-nos que nos Estados Unidos, nos 32 currículos de educação alimentar que existiam, apenas 14 integravam jogos e que também na maioria dos jogos que temos para a promoção da saúde, existem ainda poucos que são para a educação alimentar. E quando fizemos esta pesquisa especificamente em Portugal, nós não encontramos nenhum que fosse um jogo sério de educação alimentar para crianças de idade pré-escolar. Tinha existido já há alguns anos, noutro contexto de outro projeto também académico, mas que depois não teve continuidade. E, portanto, pareceu-nos haver cada vez mais esta necessidade e esta possibilidade de termos um jogo que fosse ao encontro daquilo que é necessário, que é mudar comportamentos alimentares. Portanto, daí surgiu esta ideia de criar um jogo digital e para isso tivemos uma equipa multidisciplinar que continha nutricionistas, game designers, artistas, programadores e por isso daqui esta envolvência do GameLab e da SLA, do CiTechCare, e foi através de uma abordagem integrativa em que cada um dava os seus conhecimentos e depois fazíamos uma partilha de reflexões e íamos sempre em busca de algo melhor, cada um com os seus conhecimentos contribuía para conseguirmos chegar ao objetivo final. E surgiu então o Veggies for My Heart com estes 5 hortícolas. O conceito original era este, portanto nós sabíamos que queríamos promover o consumo alimentar de 5 hortícolas e escolhemos estes 5 porque são os que estão mais presentes nos refeitórios escolares e a idade pré-escolar para nós é muito importante porque é aí que se moldam mais os hábitos e é nesta idade que se as crianças conseguirem modificar o comportamento, depois conseguirão ter também este comportamento na idade adulta. E, portanto, temos aqui a cenoura, o pepino, a couve roxa, o tomate e a alface, em que a nossa ideia base era promover o consumo e promover os conhecimentos sobre estes alimentos. E para isso tivemos esta ideia de ter 5 mini-jogos à volta destes 5 artículos. Apresentando-vos então apresentando-vos cada uma das personagens. Temos a cenoura, que é uma super heroína, tem o super poder de melhorar a visão e tem uma atitude otimista e uma atitude alegre. E durante o jogo ouvem-se mensagens, quando se joga o jogo da cenoura, ouvem-se mensagens sobre a cenoura, em que se ouve que ela tem o super poder da vitamina A, que permite os nossos olhos verem melhor, que ajuda a nossa pele também a estar mais bonita. Portanto, fomos buscar aqui aquilo que nos parecia que era mais significativo para as crianças, o facto da pele ser mais brilhante, do cabelo ser mais brilhante, e depois também de ajudar os intestinos a funcionar melhor devido ao seu conteúdo em fibra. Depois temos o super-herói, o Pepino. Ele tem o superpoder da hidratação, portanto é uma personagem que é eficaz e que é inteligente, e as mensagens que se ouvem relativamente ao pepino é que ele tem uma grande quantidade de água, portanto ajuda o corpo a estar hidratado, e nos dias mais quentes não nos podemos esquecer de comer pepino para nos hidratarmos. Falamos também um bocadinho da sua relação entre o conteúdo de flavonoides, de antioxidantes, e o papel importante para a saúde do cérebro. Temos também depois a couve roxa, que é muito resistente e que faz com que tenhamos uma bolha protetora, ou seja, ela protege o corpo e protege o cérebro de alguns parasitas e de alguns problemas de saúde, e as mensagens que se ouvem é devido à sua capacidade em antioxidantes, que ajudam a proteger o corpo e que ajudam a proteger o cérebro. E depois temos a alface, que é uma personagem mais tímida, mas que está sempre disponível para ajudar os outros. Em relação à alface, aquilo que quisemos destacar foi o seu conteúdo em folato, que ajuda a formar o sangue, e também devido a poder prevenir uma dor de barriga, que é aquilo que às vezes consegue chegar mais às crianças. Em relação ao tomate, o tomate é o mais destemido de todos eles, é rápido, tem resistência, tem uma atitude confiante, e aquilo que quisemos transmitir no jogo é que o tomate é bom para a saúde do coração e que, devido ao seu conteúdo em vitamina K, ajuda a sarar as feridas. Portanto, temos este conjunto de 5 mini-jogos. Em cada um dos jogos temos funções diferentes, e vou explicar então um bocadinho cada uma delas. Neste jogo do tomate, o jogador tem que andar com o cesto, com o tomate, que tem este cesto, a tentar apanhar os tomates que caem, e à medida que ele apanha tomates vai aumentando a sua barra de vitalidade, e se ele apanhar os repousados que vão caindo, então aí perde vitalidade. Se conseguir clicar no superpoder, depois de apanhar vários tomates, ele consegue ser mais rápido e então apanhar ainda mais tomates. Relativamente ao jogo da cenoura, a ideia é nós conseguirmos apanhar cenouras, e quanto mais nós conseguimos apanhar, maior será o raio da nossa visão, e vamos competindo com coelhos que também andam a tentar apanhar as cenouras ao mesmo tempo que nós. Quando conseguimos clicar no superpoder, que é aquele que está no canto superior esquerdo, então aí não conseguimos ter uma visão completa do ecrã e conseguimos apanhar mais cenouras. Depois este é o jogo da couve roxa, que a couve roxa está a proteger esta couve-flor e tem este escudo protetor à frente dela. E o que ela faz é tentar proteger a couve-flor dos ataques dos bichos guloseima, e à medida que os bichos guloseimas chegam, o jogador tem que ir andando à volta para proteger a couve, e tem que ir tentando apanhar também as couve roxas que vão aparecendo para ganhar mais pontos. O superpoder da couve roxa, o que está no canto superior esquerdo, permite que esta couve-flor ganhe uma bolha protetora e então nenhum bicho guloseima consegue atacá-la. O jogo do pepino é um dos jogos mais difíceis, é aquele que quem joga se queixa um bocadinho, porque tem um nível de dificuldade mais acentuado, e a ideia é ir sempre regando as hortas e conseguir que elas tenham um nível de hidratação indicado. Depois, à medida que vamos apanhando os pepinos, ganhamos também o superpoder, e este superpoder permite voltar a um nível de hidratação adequado em todas as hortas ao mesmo tempo. O jogo da alface, aqui o objetivo é montar esta estrutura, esta canalização. Nós aqui tentámos assemelhar esta canalização ao nosso intestino, ou seja, se comermos alface e se conseguimos clicar nas alfaces, montamos depois todo este sistema de irrigação e deixamos de ter obstruções, portanto deixa de existir a tal dor de barriga, e a ideia é conseguir fazer estes sistemas de irrigação cada vez mais rápido e cada vez maiores. Depois temos a torre, em que nesta torre as crianças podem ir buscar outras skins para os seus personagens, podem ver a sua pontuação, e aqui é onde conseguimos ver o estado do jogo e todos os personagens ao mesmo tempo. Relativamente à intervenção, para eu explicar melhor como é que isto ocorreu nas escolas, nós levávamos os tablets para as escolas, estivemos em 2 escolas do Distrito de Leiria, e as crianças estavam em pares, portanto iam jogando ao jogo a pares durante 20 minutos e a ouvir as mensagens que se ouvem durante o jogo. Depois, no final destes 20 minutos a jogar ao jogo, passávamos, porque cada semana ia havendo um jogo diferente, e tivemos então 5 semanas com as escolas, e no final de jogarem ao jogo, este alimento que estava a ser jogado ia passando pelas crianças para elas experienciarem o alimento. E no fim dávamos a possibilidade de todos consumirem os 5 alimentos, os 5 artículos que estavam neste jogo. E os resultados que conseguimos obter foram muito interessantes. Verificou-se que a maioria das crianças, que houve um aumento estatisticamente significativo no consumo dos 5 artículos. Podemos aqui verificar que a cenoura foi aquele que obteve recordes e coincidiu realmente, este recorde da cenoura coincidiu com o dia em que foi jogado o jogo da cenoura. E verificou-se que na avaliação final as crianças todas consumiram mais hortícolas do que tinham consumido na avaliação inicial. Nós fizemos também uma avaliação dos conhecimentos das crianças sobre estes hortícolas, portanto, se eles conseguiam identificar estes hortícolas. Fizemos esta avaliação então antes da intervenção e depois da intervenção, e antes da intervenção verificava-se que, por exemplo, a couve roxa a maioria das crianças não conhecia, e depois na segunda avaliação então houve também um aumento na identificação de todos os 5 hortícolas. Relativamente às funções dos hortícolas, portanto, que o pepino tinha a função de hidratar, que o tomate tinha a função de ajudar o coração, portanto, e por aí fora, como tinha explicado ao longo desta apresentação, verificámos também que houve um aumento significativo em algumas das funções dos hortícolas, e foi notório, portanto, em relação à alface. Houve também um aumento nos conhecimentos relativamente à couve roxa e também no tomate e no pepino. Fizemos também esta comparação relativamente à média do consumo antes da intervenção, depois da intervenção e no follow-up que foi realizado após 6 meses, e portanto os resultados aqui também foram muito satisfatórios, foram muito bons, porque verificámos que a maioria das crianças, que houve um grande aumento no consumo das porções de hortícolas na segunda avaliação, comparativamente com a primeira, e houve algumas que, por exemplo, no pepino e no tomate, no follow-up após 6 meses, as crianças ainda consumiram mais do que na segunda avaliação, portanto o fator tempo aqui não foi determinante ou não foi importante para haver menos ou mais consumo. E portanto o Veggies for My Heart continua ainda em andamento. Nós já temos o jogo disponível na Play Store e na App Store. Ele está agora disponível em português e francês porque conseguimos ganhar um projeto com a Suíça e tivemos a testar este jogo também em crianças de escolas suíças. Estamos agora a fazer o tratamento estatístico dos dados para perceber se os resultados foram semelhantes aos que encontramos aqui em Portugal. E vamos novamente estar com as crianças agora neste ano letivo que está a começar. Vamos estar com 8 salas de jardins de infância aqui de Leiria para continuar a promover o jogo e a continuar a promover o projeto. Queremos ter também outros materiais educativos associados ao jogo e por isso esperamos que continuemos a ter bons resultados como conseguimos ter até agora. Era isto que tinha para vos mostrar. Estarei disponível para qualquer questão. Mais uma vez agradecer ao GameLab, à Eduarda, ao Ricardo, ao Gustavo e a todos os estudantes que estiveram connosco neste projeto, que fizeram um trabalho incrível.
Obrigada, Cátia, obrigada a nós também pela tua apresentação. For the questions, answers, comments, we will make just in the end of all the presentations, okay, Cátia? So now Amir is already here. Good morning. We will hear Amir Bozorgzadeh, Gamifying the Neurosciences with VR. Amir is a co-founder and CEO at Virtuleap, a VR startup that unlocks neurosciences with virtual reality to help increase attention levels and address cognitive illnesses, disorders, and learning challenges. Previous to Virtuleap, Amir founded Game Guys, a mobile game studio based in Dubai, and Time Dirham, the first social impact startup to introduce time banking to the Middle East. He is an alumni of York University and THNK School of Creative Leadership. Amir is a contributing writer to tech blogs like VentureBeat and TechCrunch on the topics of emerging tech, spatial computing, and startup ecosystems. Amir will present Gamifying the Neurosciences with VR. You can start, Amir. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I think I was always blown away that two nationalities can pronounce my last name properly. It's either the Dutch or the Portuguese. And Eduarda, you just pronounced it like a native Iranian. So
okay.
Thank you.
I was a little afraid of that because
no, you did it perfectly, and it's actually quite profound.
Okay.
All throughout my formative years in Canada, where I grew up as an immigrant, I had every mistake possible of my last name, from Bozorgzadeh to Zagi. I mean, it's amazing what people can mispronounce it. So thank you. So I am a immigrant from Iran who grew up in Canada, spent about close to 10 years in Dubai, very much so an entrepreneur with my wife, who's Majorcan. We moved to Portugal back in 2017, and because I had manipulated that plan, I had been writing for VentureBeat. I had been learning about the ecosystems of Europe. As a virtual reality entrepreneur, my start began from first covering virtual reality for a number of years for VentureBeat and TechCrunch, trying to understand what are the critical use cases of this technology. And having found that area to be healthcare and education only, those are the only two critical use cases for virtual reality, we had to find a place where we could create our solution with talented people, both on the gaming side as well as the scientific neuroscience side. And Lisbon in particular had fit all those kind of criteria for us. We had to go somewhere outside of the US where we can spend a few years developing technology that does take some time to create. Whenever you're creating something that's science driven and intersecting with the series, with gaming. I know everyone in this call is no stranger to that. You need to take your time. You cannot cut corners, and we found that that environment here. Our company, I am the CEO and co-founder of Virtuleap. It is a startup that is right at the intersections of the neurosciences and virtual reality, specifically to address the whole gamut and range agnostically of cognitive disorders. If we're looking at conditions, learning challenges like ADHD or some side of the spectrum of autism, or if we're talking about concussions in sports or traumatic brain injury in veterans, or even cognitive and memory impairments due to COVID, which is up to 1 in 3 people seem to have cognitive disorders associated to this new pandemic. About 70% of people who do chemotherapy, for example, in cancer treatments get memory impairment. So cognitive disorders is everything, and I think it's increasingly something that we are paying attention to. And as a solution or a company that's creating a solution, it is really agnostic to the whole range of cognitive difficulties. Now, cognitive decline and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's is where we gravitate to naturally, because it is such a huge impact on the world right now. And the biggest challenge or call to action for startups is to create more and more solutions to be able to better profile and early detect these kind of conditions years and years before they onset. If I were to go into a fMRI machine at a hospital, I wouldn't do that. But I wouldn't know when I would think about doing that. But if I did, and I got a neuroimaging scan or brain scan, you could detect up to 20 years before the onset of mild cognitive impairment, the preceding condition to Alzheimer's disease. You would be able to actually see the functional and structural changes in the brain associated to that cognitive decline, and actually have up to 20 years to intervene, at the very least delay the clinical onset of these conditions. The tragic thing is that these technologies and these biomarkers, they call them, are inaccessible, very expensive, and invasive. The cost of an fMRI machine, and I'm not sure in Portugal actually, because it's the healthcare system probably takes care of most of that. But in the UK, for instance, it's about £700 still the cost of getting those kind of scans. In the US, it's up to $7,000. So we do not have access to them. Can we create solutions that can correlate to what you would see in those types of, those kind of cognitive assessment solutions with more accessible ones? The problem is the ones we do have of this kind of breed are typically screen-based, which means that they invariably exclude our body. And that's what virtual reality stands for first and foremost. It's the first embodied digital format. And by that, I mean, it is the first digital experience that creates an environment that tricks our whole body into believing that the experience is real. And so if you're standing in a tall tower, well, not standing, but simulated in a tall tower, standing virtually, and you have any bit of phobia of heights, then your knees will buckle and shake regardless of you knowing you're in your living room. If you have a phobia of insects, rats, and you have a virtual rat or spider come towards you, you will recoil and shake. It doesn't matter that cognitively you know you're in your office or in some safe place. The visual sense, when it's tricked in a virtual reality situation environment, it means it tricks the rest of the human sensors to believe that experience is real. So our autonomic nervous system, our vestibular balance system, our proprioception all believe that this experience is real. And so in the setting of virtual reality, that creates an environment for therapeutic and educational experiences that are simply critical use cases for VR that could not be achieved by any other digital format previous to it. We have a paradigm shift between 2D and VR, in which cognitive assessment specifically not only means better data in terms of the data that you're collecting of that cognitive assessment of that individual, but also volumetric data sets, because these headsets, which we call them 6 degrees of freedom headsets that relate to the experience in a one-to-one fashion. So if your body moves, the environment reacts and so on. We're collecting and capturing gesticulation of the arms, postural data, positioning data. With our partners HP that just launched 4 months ago, the first VR headset with integrated biosensors and physiological sensors like pupil dilation tracking, heart rate variability, soon skin conductivity. They're using AI learning systems to actually take those physiological sensors and calculate your focus levels. Sorry guys, I'm on. Sorry. So in that setting, we're getting physiological data on top of cognitive assessment data. This is unheard of, crazy landing on the moon kind of technology for being able to assess people in a way with a digital format that's accessible, fairly reasonably priced, that does have a lot of potential applications to do a lot of the things that you would otherwise only be able to achieve in an fMRI machine. And so what we've done is, this is a really, really early like alpha version of one of our games, but I don't know why, but I have a nostalgia to showing it. Our games look much prettier than this. In fact, my eyes bleed when I look at it, but ultimately each of our games are 3D rendered translations of neuropsychological assessment tools that have been around for a long time, but now taking it from the neurologist's room and very, very serious looking kind of mediums and making it available to anyone and everyone, democratizing access to cognitive assessment solutions that can give a sense to someone of their cognitive ability across a variety of fronts. So for example, we have 7 core categories that we make games to fit within those boxes. Some of them are memory games, some of them are information processing games, but of course, because we're talking virtual reality, some are motor control, spatial orientation, spatial audio awareness games. But these are illusionary. We actually are specifically targeting subcategories. So not memory, but short-term memory, working memory, long-term memory. And we are about tracking and targeting about 24 of these subcategories, which we ultimately score you on in a very objective way using our own game scoring system called Enhanced Performance Index. We have a very B2B business model. We're partnered with a few large organizations for use cases like rehabilitation, and a lot of these use cases are in which we white label our solution to these organizations and charge them either based on the licensing model per user or like per use. But this is our main focus. Our actual app is on the B2C stores, and we have about 28,000 only registered users, but really those users are all about just getting test data at this stage. Our main model is B2B. And so if I want to kind of compare where we stand in that landscape, the first row of neuropsychological assessment tools. They haven't really evolved in 4 or 5 decades, maybe more. They're pretty much still pen and paper or 2D. And then you have the second row of brain training apps that are available, but again, they're 2D. That is the Kool-Aid that our startup drinks, is that as the modern neuroscience kind of all points to, is that cognition is inherently embodied, and you have to go above and beyond just typing and tapping on a screen at this stage. And I think in the next few years, we will start to see indications of these alien objects of trying to learn, how to figure out the UX of these 2D formats will start to dissipate, and hopefully we'll have more of these augmented reality and virtual reality experiences that do incorporate multiple learning systems and multiple, not just the cognitive system that we're aware of, but also our experiential and emotional circuitry all participates in every experience as much as possible. In the VR scene, we really are the most advanced company that provides this kind of solution worldwide. Most of them, the competitors would be offshoots of universities that created an MVP or proof of concept, and then just kind of did a study on that and really didn't polish everything to the full level. There are some exceptions, like a VR. Sorry. And so, we're the only one that is agnostic to all use cases. Most of the companies out there are maybe very like niche based, like, sports conditioning, athletic conditioning. And so just to kind of summarize, we have about 28,000 early registered users. We are on the B2C stores. We actually have 2 clinical studies beginning right now, one in Barcelona focused on whether our solution used regularly can actually slow down cognitive decline in people with type 2 diabetes. And one study beginning in 2 months in the US focused on whether our solution helps improve the quality of life of those living with Alzheimer's. And the whole point is to get our solution validated by regulatory bodies through these clinical studies, get them into the clinical care sites, and ultimately get into becoming what is going to be a reimbursable solution by payers themselves, by insurance companies, be a prescribed treatment, for example, ADHD and the like. If anyone is aware of this space, then you will be very, very conscious of what happened in June 2020, which was crazy news for the digital therapeutics industry and serious games at large, is that Achille Interactive in Boston got given breakthrough designation as the first video game that can be prescribed by a doctor for pediatric ADHD. And so we're going down the road of the same thing as Achille, growing our games, growing our revenue, building up our platform, and continuously ramping up to a place that we are validated by the market, and keep on growing our team, which is a mixture of game developers and scientists at this intersection of serious games, neuroscience, and a lot of adjacent talents and technologies relating to machine learning and AI and biometrics in general. That's my spiel. I'm very, very sorry about the interruptions during my speech.
No problem, Amir. Thank you for your presentation. Now we will give space to Filipa Pona Ferreira with maybe some connections with your work also. She's a physiotherapist and a researcher in the area of movement disorders, Parkinson disease and Parkinsonism at CNS Centro Neurológico Sénior. She is making a master in neurosciences. Sorry.
Hello. Oh, I'm not sure if you're... Okay, you're listening to me. Okay, good.
Let me just finish here. You're making a master in neurosciences at the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Lisbon. Since the beginning of this year, in partnership with MindMaze, she has been part of a team that, in the context of a clinical study, is testing the feasibility and effectiveness of a semi-immersive virtual reality system as a complement to the rehabilitation program. So Filipa will present virtual reality gaming as a neurorehabilitation tool for Parkinson's disease. You can start now. Thank you, Filipa.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Professor Eduarda and the organizers of this second talk of GAMELabsNet for inviting me to participate in this panel. So I'm Filipa, and I'm a physiotherapist who works in the field of movement disorders. I'm here today to discuss virtual reality as a tool for neurorehabilitation in Parkinson's disease. So to begin, let me see if I can. So to begin, I've divided my presentation into 3 sections. So just a short introduction on Parkinson's disease, virtual reality applied to Parkinson's, and the MindPod Dolphin software that we're now testing, which was developed by MindMaze. Campus Neurológico is a neurorehabilitation clinic, so we're not the engineer or informatic or developers here, so we're just exploring all the tools and the new technologies we have. So Parkinson's disease is one of the most common neurodegenerative disorders worldwide. It is mainly associated with the loss of dopaminergic neurons in the substantia nigra. Bradykinesia, which is the loss of movement, the slowness of movement in PD, is associated with rigidity, tremor, or postural instability are the hallmark features, and have a negative impact upon movement quality, gait, and balance performance. In addition to these motor symptoms, which are the most common, people with Parkinson's disease may also have non-motor features such as cognitive decline, fatigue, apathy, and depression. So we now know usually it starts unilaterally. So they start shaking their right hand and then they go to the neurologist, they do a neurological exam and they have a diagnosis. So in the early stages, it's only unilateral. With the progressive of the disease, it becomes bilateral and with a lot of incapacity and low quality of life. So right now we know that the best way to intervene in Parkinson's disease is with multidisciplinary care. That's what we're doing. So it's not just the neurologist and the patient. We now have a team of physiotherapists, speech therapists, nutrition, occupational therapists, nurses, psychology, and nowadays we know that starting physiotherapy as early as possible, it's like taking the medicine that they need to take. So we know that it has the similar effects. That's why it's important, and that's why I'm here to speak about virtual reality applied to Parkinson's. We know that in this context, virtual reality is now proposed as a new rehabilitation tool with a possible added value over traditional physiotherapy approaches. It's described that it potentially optimizes motor learning in a safe environment, and by replicating real-life scenarios, it may help improve functional activities on a daily basis. So as virtual reality itself, we know that it can increase benefits on step and strength plans. It has similar effects on balance, gait, and so, but it's not just do's. We have some don'ts here. We know that in Parkinson's disease, virtual reality can cause some cyber sickness or cognitive overload, or an inappropriate level and content of exercise can not be so benefit. As what we're doing right now, I will show you a little video. I hope it works on the experimental study we're doing. Let me see. So we know in the recent years that virtual reality as a therapeutic tool has become a new topic of research. And what we're doing in CNES is we're experimenting this MindPod's semi-immersive software as a complement of physiotherapy sessions. We're doing a study on it's a 12 weeks program. The experimental group starts with virtual reality and physiotherapy, so 1 hour each, 3 times a week. And we have a control group that starts the first 6 weeks. They start only with physiotherapy, and then we added the virtual reality program. So the dolphin, what we asked them to do, they chose or the most affected hand, or we switch if it's bilateral, and they need to control the dolphin by the hand. So the camera recognizes the upper limbs, and the movement they do, the dolphin responds to it. And each level has a different goal. So the dolphin needs to eat the fish, or battle the shark, or just to jump and do some jumping with the hand. It also, in the next levels, we added dual task training, and they have a motor dual task, which they can speed up the dolphin, or they can fight back the dolphin. Oh, let me just change here. So the project itself, we're testing the feasibility and the efficacy of a virtual reality software in Parkinson's disease with the oceanic environment. And the players control the dolphin themselves. So we know, and to give a bit of background, physiotherapy sessions in Parkinson's, they have to have some major areas of rehabilitation. We need to work dual task training, we need to work balance, we need to work the big amplitude of movements. And that's what the dolphin does. It encourages the patient to be focused on the task. They can play standing up or sitting down, because they have 1 hour and they have to have some resting periods. So we allow them to sit for a few minutes, and all the movements are with higher amplitude. We don't have results to show you. We know that it works, but it's an ongoing study, so we didn't finish. We don't have published data. What I can tell you is that with virtual reality, they have immediate feedback, so they know if they're doing a good job or not. So it's important for them to have immediate feedback. We know that the continuous program of physiotherapy might be boring sometimes. So having a game that keeps them motivated and increases the arousal, it's important. So for us, it's enough. Having those data is enough. If it improves motor skills, we're not sure. We believe so, but we're not sure. But we do know that for some, it's the first contact with virtual reality, and that's a new thing. Parkinson's disease affects mostly the elderly, as Amir told us before. So they know it's something new, so they feel excited. And it's important to continuing searching for these softwares and develop specialized virtual reality gaming. we have a lot of offers. So we do have a lot of virtual reality programs worldwide. We don't have disease specific. So that's what we're trying to find. And I think that's the new era. So to finish, I'll show you some clips. One is for myself, the other ones are for patients. So what the dolphin will be jumping. If you can see in the video, in the camera, the green spot is me controlling the movement. And then we have another one. It also has distractor factor. So all the patient who's playing only needs to attack the shark, and all the fishes around are distracting. Okay. And here's another one sitting down. So it gets a bit violent sometimes. You can see the patient has dyskinesias, which is involuntary movements due to the state, the on state. And the dolphin gets attacked as well. Good. And I think that's it. If you have any doubts, please forward.
Filipa, just a question now. I think if I made it later, it's a little bit late. So in this last image that you were showing,
Yeah.
What is the idea? The person has to why he is making all that movement?
Okay. The movements are involuntary, are disease specific. So
okay.
It's well, in Parkinson's disease we have on state and off state. Mm-hmm. When they're in the levodopa, which is the medicine they take to become more how can I say this, functional. Mm-hmm. Throughout the time they start having complications due to that medicine, and one of that is involuntary movements. And it actually, the involuntary movement he has, it actually helps the software, it helps him to catch the fish, but it's involuntary. He's not aware he has it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's why it's so exactly, yeah. even in the lower limbs, and he's seated.
But here it doesn't have virtual reality; it's just a screen, right?
Yeah, it's semi-immersive. We call it virtual reality, but it's not immersive. It's non-immersive.
But in other cases, you use the glasses.
Yes, but not in this study. Okay. Not in this experimental trial.
Okay, so thank you, Filipa. I will not continue to ask you things because we will leave the last moment. Vasco Torres, he has developed and designed single and multiplayer games, as well as immersive learning experiences crossing all the platforms. As a full stack developer, he mainly uses Unity, Play, C#, Java, JavaScript, and MySQL. His current focus is on virtual reality and artificial intelligence. He started his journey as a game developer while he was still studying. His first game was created in his free time, which became an internet sensation with YouTubers and streamers having hundreds of thousands of gameplay videos with more than 50 million accumulated views. This project also became the focus of his master dissertation, where he used biofeedback to control the different game mechanics. Really interesting. Vasco is currently a co-founder and CTO of InciteVR. This enterprise is specialized in the production of engaging and delightful immersive learning products for higher education and professional training. Vasco will present VR training for clinical lab skills. So Vasco, you can start. Thank you.
Thank you. Share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so hello everyone, and today I'm going to be talking about VR training for clinical lab skills. After introducing myself and our team, I'll be going through the reasons why immersive learning experiences are a great learning solution. Then I'll give you a brief introduction to our ILXD model, and after that I'll show you our first product, NP Skills Labs, and explain how we use our Clinic Immersives platform to support all of our apps. Finally, I'll give you a glimpse of our new and upcoming products. A little about myself. I'm Vasco Torres. I'm the CTO at InciteVR. I'm a software engineer, and I like to say that I breathe technology. Since I joined this industry, I've created both games and apps for a vast majority of platforms, and most recently for virtual reality. Last year, I decided to take the next step and create InciteVR. InciteVR core mission is to meet the individualized needs of the learner through our immersive learning experience solutions. We are passionate about this, and we believe that with this product, learners can achieve deep and persistent learning. As for our team, half of us are here in Portugal and the other half in the United States. We have been together for several years across multiple companies, and we have offices in California and Portugal. Our team develops and publishes products for different platforms, but for several years now, our main focus has been immersive learning experiences for higher and professional education. We develop applications for several verticals, but as you can see in this list, healthcare is our dominant sector. Since 2016, we've had our products used in more than 2,000 classes. We also had more than 100,000 users which used our products more than 1 million times. We have a long list of clients across several industries, and since innovation is part of our core tenets, or maybe the most important one, we are continuously adapting our processes and systems to use the best platforms and frameworks out there. We are honored to have received several international awards for the products we developed and published. And while this is not a goal for us, we know that this helps our clients build confidence in us and in our products. So for this, we continue to push ourselves so that our work is acknowledged by the industries and communities that we are part of. I like to start with a question, with this specific question, because some people never tried virtual reality before. Why are immersive learning experiences better than traditional methods? So let me give you an example. Let's say that you have to learn about a new subject for a meeting that you're having tomorrow. You're confined because of COVID, so you're in your living room, seated at the table with your laptop in front of you. You have your document open and ready to read it, but you also have your browser open with a couple tabs with your social networks. And next to your laptop, you have your smartphone, which has notifications popping up every now and then. You might also have your TV on in the background. What if you were using an immersive learning experience instead? So exactly the same environment, but instead of using a laptop, you are using a virtual reality headset. So you put the headset on and immediately your vision shifts to a new place. You left your reality with all of those distractions to the virtual reality where you can only see what the experience has to give you. Not just your vision, but your hearing as well. With the help of spatial sound, we can transport you into a completely different space in the matter of seconds. Now, even if the content was exactly the same, just pure text or video, because of the state of focus that virtual reality experience puts you on, it will already contribute significantly to your learning experience. But that's just the beginning. Then we can leverage all the amazing features that virtual reality gives us. Let's say that you're learning about an animal that was extinct several thousand years ago. With traditional learning methods, you'll have to learn it by reading a document or maybe watching a video. In virtual reality, we can place that animal with you in the experience. If it is smaller than you, you'll be able to kneel down and touch it. If it is bigger than you, you'll be able to climb it and get on top of it. You'll have a better perception of size, something that is extremely difficult to perceive, even with video or images. But there's more to it. You can interact with the experience. Current technology even lets you see and use your own hands without the need of controllers. All of this makes it so that immersive learning experiences helps the learners acquire skills faster with improved accuracy and retain those learned skills way longer. When we started creating our immersive learning experiences, we had to adopt new systems and methods to design them. And as we were introducing this new technology to our clients, we had to teach them how these experiences are created. And since we had to work with people from different levels within the institutions, such as administrators, subject matter experts, faculty members, we felt the need to consolidate all of this in a design model that could be understood by everyone. And for that reason, we created the Immersive Learning Experience Design Model, which we call ILXD. Our ILXD pyramid illustrates the scaffolding method of the ILXD model. The base is a design intent, which we integrate both familiar and new resources to consolidate the foundation of the experience. The immerse layer is then supported by that intent. Going back to that example that I gave in the previous slide, this layer is that focus state, the embodiment that's so powerful in virtual reality. The immerse layer then serves as a pillar for the empathy layer. In the empathy layer, we want the learner to develop an emotional connection with the experience. Just like we all remember that movie that brought us that strong emotion of sadness, joy, or anger. The three underlying layers then support the pinnacle of the pyramid, the learn layer. Here, we want the learner to achieve a creator status where they share their understandings and experiences with others. There is a lot more to say about our ILXD model. We have a published white paper, which you can get from our website if you want to know more. We presented this model at several conferences, and we did various workshops in the last year. And in the last year, due to high demand, we created a self-paced online course, and we also released an electronic book. NP Skills Labs is an example of a product we created using this model. Here's a small video about NP Skills Labs. Starting with the problem that we are solving with NP Skills Labs. Nurse practitioner students who are studying online must arrange for and travel to the closest simulation center in order for them to demonstrate their clinical skills. And this requirement involves expensive and complicated logistics, and student access to the practice is then limited. During those on-campus sessions, feedback regarding learner progress is also lacking and subject to faculty availability. And as a result, these traditional skills are highly stressful, and students that struggle with the clinical skills cannot improve substantially due to the limited access to practice time and the direct feedback from the faculty. With NP Skills Labs, nurse practitioners students can use their Oculus Quest to practice and demonstrate their clinical skills anytime, anywhere. No travel is required, availability of practice is nearly unlimited, and the analytics of the learning outcomes provide insight for every aspect of the clinical skills labs. NP Skills Labs currently has 7 labs: arterial line, central line, thoracentesis, paracentesis, and chest tube. There are a couple more on the pipeline, and which we will release on the next version of the app. For each one of these labs, we have 3 different modes. We have guided, expert, and exam mode. On guided mode, the learner is presented with detailed instructions on each step of the procedure, as well as visual hints on how to perform those steps. When they feel confident about the procedure, doing it in guided mode, they can move to expert mode, where we remove all the optional hints and we bring the experience as close to reality as possible. Finally, when the learner has enough confidence to execute the procedure, they can do the exam mode, which will be used for their final grade. When they finish exam mode, they are also required to fill up a small survey, which we use for product improvements, but also for the faculty to understand how impactful the experience was for the learner. Another important aspect for us is how we deliver NP Skills Labs. We start with faculty training. This is extremely important to us because faculty will be the first point of contact for the students, and faculty needs to be involved with the product from the beginning. Then we do a student orientation session, where we introduce the product to the students as well as what they have to do to set it up. And in that regard, we've come a long way. In our first student cohort, due to the difficulties that the Oculus platform imposed on us, the setup was quite complex, and we had to guide a vast number of students on every step of the way. Nowadays, with the updates to the Oculus platform, our new installation guide, FAQ, and tutorial videos, we drastically reduced the number of support tickets. In the last 3 cohorts, we had 0 support tickets. And as the students use the app, we need to store all the data so that we can then process it and show it to faculty. And for that, we created our platform, Clinic Immersives. This platform is responsible for bringing our products to the enterprise level. As I just mentioned, it first started as a way to store data and analyze it. As students progressed through different labs, faculty needed a way to see how their students were doing, in such a way that they could then easily use that information for all of their needs. But as the number of students, classes, and faculty increased, there was a need for the system to manage all of these internally. So we did that. Currently, organization administrators can access our platform, and using the dashboard or specific tools, they can see at a glance how their faculty and students are doing. They can also add and remove faculty as needed. From the faculty perspective, they can manage their classes by setting up start and end dates, controlling when and what labs are available, and then manage their students. We also allow students to use this platform to see their progress in all the classes that they are part of. As we started creating more products and have more clients, we noticed that there was also a need to manage licenses. And we use that opportunity to add that to the system. With this, we give more control to organizations to manage their licenses without the need to constantly contact us to make changes. And it has one more thing. As I said earlier, our core mission is to meet the individualized needs of the learner through our ILX solutions. But so far, our products could only be used by students from our partner organizations, since our business model was only B2B. But because there are other learners out there, such as students from non-partner organizations or professionals that haven't done these procedures for a long time and they just want to refresh their memory, we decided to create a way for them to have access to our products without having to be affiliated with other institutions. For that, we created an online store where these learners can buy the products directly from us and have access to all of its features. Right now, only NP Skills Labs is available there, but soon we will be adding our new and upcoming products. We have 3 new VR products releasing soon, 2 for the healthcare sector and 1 for human resources. Medical Assisting Clinical Suite is our next premium product. It has 33 labs, including procedures such as taking vital signs, performing CPR, administering injections, and many more. It uses our most recent interaction system, which significantly improves the user experience. Then we have PMH-NP, which is yet another product for nurse practitioners, but this one is specialized for psych mental health. In this product, learners will interact with patients suffering from mental problems by interviewing them. Our patients have a full-fledged artificial intelligence brain powered by natural language processing, which allows learners to actually talk with the patients instead of just choosing predetermined questions. Learners will be able to take notes during the interview, and then also they can examine the patient's body and take notes of the patient's belongings. They can then use those notes to do a patient's assessment and form a treatment plan. On a different sector, we have active shooter survival, which is an immersive training for users to practice how to protect themselves in an event of an active shooter situation. Unfortunately, these scenarios are more and more frequent, mostly in the United States. And with the active shooter survival, users can replace the human instinct to freeze or follow with response-ready reactions following the run, hide, and fight principle. And that's it from me. If you have any questions, feel free to ask at the end. You can also contact me on my email and visit our website. We have information about our products and frameworks there. Thank you.
Okay, Vasco, thank you very much for your presentation.
How gamification is helping specific clinical use cases in neurology. And we also see the virtual reality environment for teaching and education that Vasco showed. But we see in both use cases that we still are not there in terms of processing capacity, meaning sometimes it gets a little bit slow, it's not always fluid, which obviously it could be trouble. So for someone that is not very in the technology to start using something that sometimes is very slow because it needs a huge capacity processor. So when do you think we will have the technology enough to, as Amir was saying, to democratize technology access so anyone could access these games? When do you think it will happen? I'm a medical doctor, so normally I don't talk with vendors and with the enterprises that produces processors, but I do feel that everything is slow. And as a product, as a clinical doctor, I do feel that this could be an important key step so that more clinical trials could be started. So this is my question. When do you think we will have the technology so everything goes on the right speed to be pleasant to all? Thank you.
I don't know if Amir is still with us, but I can answer. So, well, we are getting there. I mean, we've come from a long way in terms of virtual reality. With up until a couple of years ago, we only had 3 degrees of freedom where you could only rotate, you couldn't even move in space in virtual reality. But just last year, like just from last year to this year, there has been huge improvements in the quality of the headsets, the cost of them, and the precision of them. So the most you know, like, for example, like when we compare with augmented reality, HoloLens costs like a lot. It's not feasible for everyone to use. It is feasible for organizations, institutions, but not for the end user. Virtual reality headsets, like the most cost-effective one, only right now is at $300, and it is getting to a very to a situation where it's very close to reality. The one that I'm speaking of, which is Oculus Quest, they have right now, as I mentioned on my talk, you can actually use your hands already. It of course it uses the 4 cameras which are monochromatic, so, and they are low quality. So again, like all of that is using neural networks to process the images and track your hands. There's, again, like it's not feasible for procedures like, you know, like if we had to do a surgery, because, you know, there's occlusion and it cannot, of course, like it cannot see that because it's tracking just through the cameras. But in terms of fidelity, of course, with the controllers, we're getting very close to a perfect match. That NP Skills Labs, as I shown there, we didn't have our, like we had a good interaction system, but it wasn't up to the level that we wanted. And our new product, which is the medical assistant, the clinical suite, we have, it's pretty amazing how close to reality we have these labs. So answering your question, we're going there. Like the fact that you no longer need, for virtual reality, you no longer need sensors to track your controllers. You can just, using the cameras, you can track them almost perfectly. I saw some leaks, like Oculus Quest or Facebook is going to release or going to announce most probably in their next conference their new headsets, which, as it seems, it will have cameras on the trackers as well, on the controllers, which will improve even more the tracking fidelity. So it's a matter of, just like you said, like it's a matter of waiting, because the technology will definitely catch up. And again, like it's becoming easier for everyone to have access to it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vasco. I think Amir is not here. Anyone wants to comment something or to ask something to our speakers? I think that is one of the issues, Pedro. The devices, the technology, the access, the implementation in clinical systems, places. And I think it maybe here with Amir is not here, but Filipa also works with senior people. Maybe one of the most challenging things, I don't know if it is or not, it's a question, how these old people feel with this new technology. They are not used to, they are from another generation. They are okay with that? They like it at the first place or not?
It's actually a pretty interesting question, because nowadays, and with all these new age of technologies, they feel the need to integrate because they need to play with their grandchildren. So this is the first interaction with virtual reality itself, but they do now use WhatsApp. They all have an iPhone or an Android, and they actually like it because it's a way to connect them with the children. Mm-hmm. So they feel more integrated. So it's kind of fun to see them interacting with all the games, and they it keeps the motivation within the exercises.
Okay, maybe all the multimedia environment and immersiveness of the products that you are testing, maybe that is a nice thing. Music, I think when I saw your videos, I was thinking about that. Music, it's very important there. Feedback, not just the images and all that involvement. It can be really maybe contributing to the easiness of the use of these technologies. Okay, thank you, Filipa, for your comments.
It is, I would say the only problem is the cognitive deficit. If they have a declined cognitive deficit that has impact on their activities of daily living, it's difficult for them to understand the purpose of the game. So that's a challenge.
Okay. Yes, it is. I can see. So more questions. Let me just speaking here with Cátia. And I can see that we have here Maria Guarino, the director of the CiTechCare. I remember some in the beginning of Veggies for My Heart. I remember that you spoke when the Veggies won the cardiology prize, Challenges Accelerator. That how bad you were feeling when you are seeing that just a game for children was winning next to other really serious projects. I remember that comment, and the president of the Portuguese Foundation of Cardiology saying that maybe the prevention was one of the most important things, and they were just betting on that. So that's why they give that prize to Veggies. Do you think, Cátia and Maria, you can also, if you want to, can also comment here. Do you think that this prevention is maybe the best way to start? Do you have any comment? Do you remember this this situation? That serious projects that were competing to the same contest.
Yes, I am sure by that. Prevention is the weapon for the diseases. So we have to, it's our solution for now. I think Maria can talk about that because she is really involved in a lot of projects for prevention and for rehab. So Maria.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I want to congratulate Eduarda and the organization for this amazing meeting. I think it's wonderful to have the opportunity of gathering designers and physicians and technology professionals because we will really need this in the future. So regarding Veggies from My Heart, yes, it's true. We were pointed out as highlighted by intervening in preschool children, and that's why we were competing with, for example, apps to follow people with heart failure, with other types of chronic diseases. And technology has focused a lot and well, in my opinion, in developing tools and also apps right now to help monitoring chronic diseases. But we do have to focus on prevention. We do have to focus on children. That's why gamification and all these new strategies are so important. We need to teach our children to live in a healthier way and to value healthy lifestyles, which was not the way we were raised. When I look at most of the people here, they're probably over 30. So in our youth, we were raised to live as we wanted because medicine and technology would take care of us. And nowadays that's not true anymore. We have to be responsible for our future and for our health. So yes, what I can add on to what's been said here is we need to focus on prevention. It is very important to develop technology for intervention and for strategies in chronic diseases, but also to teach better and to educate better. that's the message that I will leave here right now. Our research unit is focused in both health promotion and care, and also in biomarkers, clinical engineering. So we're also developing tools to treat and to monitor chronic diseases, but we want to grow in this area of prevention and of developing, and design tools are amazing for that. The methodologies are amazing for that. Developing better tools, interventions, and strategies to improve people's lives and people quality of life. I think that's it. And thanks, Eduarda, for organizing the meeting and for getting us all together.
Yes, thank you very much, Maria. Filipa, this disease, Parkinson's disease, can be also prevented in younger ages, like with a game or something like that?
I wouldn't be so optimistic. So we don't even know the exact cause of Parkinson's disease. It can be hereditary, it can have multiple factors. So we're not sure if we can prevent PD to appear. We do know if when you get the diagnosis, you can prevent the progression. So you can, if you start,
you know that you have the disease.
Yeah, you can have an active exercise life. It's important to keep all the cognitive training, the exercise. That part we know. If we can prevent Parkinson's disease to appear, I don't think so. Maybe in 100 years from now we can say that, but we need to find out. We know Parkinson's was discovered almost 200 years ago, and we don't even know the cause, so we're not sure. We can't prevent anything if we don't know what's really happening there.
Filipa, how did you find Mind Maze? Did you also search in Portugal, or I don't know?
It's actually a partnership with Dr. Krakauer. So he was the one who challenged us to cooperate, because the Mind Maze, the MindPod, the software, the Dolphin software, was used in stroke patients, and it had positive results. So it works. And we're now trying to figure it out what needs to change for each particular disease, neurological disease. And we're now testing in Parkinson's disease patients. Okay. So it's a partnership between CNES and Mind Maze on behalf of Professor Krakauer, who will be here in Portugal soon.
With Pedro. Okay, and Pedro, I know that you are having the support of Inestec, right, to make the technology part of your project. It is what is the most challenging issue working with a technology team? You have your idea, and do you have any improvement that maybe you can do you have any, how can I ask, because you are from different contexts, and sometimes maybe the technology team doesn't give your answer. I don't know what is your relationship and if the communication is really well made and the technology responds really well to what you want to implement. And congratulations for your job, of course. I think it's a really nice project with a lot of impact in our society.
So, Eduarda, thank you. So first, not to go direct to your question, just to comment Filipa's work, which is great, and to make a bridge between what you ask and her answer. So one of the most important things is that also is survivorship, no matter you are speaking cancer or Parkinson's disease. So what we want to give patients is quality of life. And gamification and sensors are now a tool so that we can predict adverse events before they happen. So nowadays it's possible to activate remote surveillance to patients as Parkinson and to detect that the treatment will fail and that patient will need to raise the dosage or to change the medication. So the goal is to offer him a way to actively monitorize patient's condition, and if the treatment is failing, to intervene in a specific time point before the patient can actually feel that he's worsening. So quality of life is very important, and I think gamification and the sensors monitoring will be an important role to give actually at the end patients a very good quality of life, and to keep them away from doctors, because you know when you are young and you have to go to a hospital, you are wasting your time. So we don't want patients to waste their time. We want them to be happy with their families, friends, and their jobs. And so doing the things they most like. So keep away from doctors, it's a good thing. So answering to your question, well, yes, so we do need to spend a lot of time discussing with engineers in research programs. So if you don't speak, if you don't understand our languages, so that will be hard. So what we do with a lot of time talking and understanding each point of view. So from an engineer point of view and from a doctoral point of view, and we always try to go for a user-centric approach. So that is the secret. And obviously, I'm always pushing for them because I always want more. And so when I want more, it means we have more engineered problems, more challenges. And so, well, but it's fun. And I learn a lot with them. So I think before 2013, I've never heard what an algorithm was, and now they are part of my life. And so my next challenge would be to start coding. Well, it's really an amazing thing, and this proves that we should be hybrid in knowledge and even in our careers. So if you are an engineer, you can also be something else. If you are a doctor, you can also be something else. And if that is used for a better world, to improve our patients, which is the most important goal that I have, so that is healthy. And for that, you need time. You need to be open-minded. You have to listen now to hear. Sometimes we don't, but it is very important to hear other perspectives, other person's opinion, even when we are discussing science. So we have to be open-minded and to read and to continuously learning with them. So I'm very grateful with the work that we have been done and what I have learned with engineers in research. It's been a wonderful trip. Thank you.
Pedro, do you think making an oncological surgery with AR sunglasses, it can be challenging? What did you felt in the operating room when you were using all that technology, and you already have a mask, now you have glasses, you have a lot of things around you to use. You felt it was a problem or not? The technology are already at 100% for what you need?
Well, definitely we are not at 100%. I think for a true clinical trial to come out, we will need 3 years of development to reach that point. So it means that, of course, health technology assessment in medical devices is a very important issue. It's fundamental to you go for certification. Usability tests will need to be done, because if I feel comfortable, another colleague might not feel that. Obviously, when we passed from the HoloLens 1 to HoloLens 2, it was a major improvement, more lighter, and you have the option to raise the visor, and that could give you extra comfort. But of course, we are in the earliest of this new technology as a medical devices. And so definitely we are still not there. So this is not ready for prime time. We really need to set up this automatic environment where a computer vision system can identify and track a patient. And this means that a computer vision system with 3D cameras will need to go for a physical language to a semantical language, meaning that it has to distinguish the patient from the different objects in the operating room. And then we have to deal with problems like 3D latency, so it's not solved yet. And then to have a way of putting a radiological, digital anchorage of radiological data is also not obvious. So we need to do it in a way that the surgeon could perform the surgeries in a comfortable way. So it's a whole new area. So different areas of expertise and development, since computer vision engineers, software engineers, mechanical engineers, and then we need the help from the guys from health technology assessment, certifications process, which in healthcare sector it's expensive also. So there is a lot to be done. The message is we are not yet ready for prime time. This is research.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but we are I think that maybe through the advances of technology, they are really advancing really fast, and maybe of course at the same time that the research has been made, I think that the technology will come to us more invisible and more.
I definitely agree with you. So it will come. That's why my question. I believe that we will need to wait 3 years till we get there where we like it. Of course, breast cancer surgery is more challenging because we have to deal with post-transformation, but bone surgery and vascular surgery could come first. So there are a lot of papers that we can access, but also it's true that most of them does not entirely describe what they are doing. So it gives you the sense that it's automatic, but it's not. So sometimes they are not very honest, and sometimes you get the feeling that we are very fast and we reach that moment, but we are not. Our TRL is very low.
Yes, thank you for your experience and to tell us what is your what is the feeling when you are really implementing all those research ideas. Now I have a question to Vasco. Since you have a game developer background, do you apply your experience in the feedback received from those learners? I mean, do you create any sort of retention loop, any gamification techniques to make this learning process more enjoyable? I know I know that your products are not for fun, are for learning, but since you have that background, perhaps you are always trying to improve those technologies to be more amusing.
Yes, so it's interesting that you asked that, because we've actually started with games. We started with games for which we call serious games or game-based learning, and through time, as we were talking with subject matter experts at institutions, they were not as interested as us to adopt those kind of mechanics in the applications. So through time, we had to remove most of the visual parts of it. So in the early games that we had, it would have score systems and basically, just like you said, ways for the user to want to go back to the game, right, and to engage them. But most recently, we have to we had to remove most of those because, again, what we're doing right now is almost simulations. But we do have ways, of course, like it's always interesting for us to have replayability of our applications. So again, like that's why we have those different modes and have them like advance from one to the other and feel that achievement of going through the different methods, as well as seeing their scores. And well, again, they are not scores as in games, but they have masteries for what they do. But so far, like in the applications that we are doing right now, we are not able to have gamification mechanics.
Sometimes they are invisible. Maybe you can put them there.
That's what we try. That's what we try to do nowadays. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, all of you. I don't have any more questions or comments. Do you have any? I don't know. If you have, please just let us know. So we are here, we already have, it's already 12 o'clock, so not occupying more of your time. Thank you very much for all the speakers, for being here in this talk. It was really a pleasure making this talk with you and having you here. So thank you to the audience also. See you in the next talk, I hope, healthcare talk, or in Champalimaud Open Day. Okay, so see you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.